There is a particular moment in a man's life that arrives without announcement and cannot be manufactured by intention or forced by circumstance. A moment when the accumulated weight of his experience with you, not the dramatic moments, not the peak experiences that announce their own significance, but the quiet and consistent and unglamorous reality of who you actually are when nothing is requiring you to perform, finally breaks through the surface of his ordinary perception and lands with a force that reorganizes everything it touches. A moment when the category he had been unconsciously placing you in, the comfortable, familiar, available category that dulls the perception of value, the way that habitual exposure dulls the perception of beauty, suddenly becomes inadequate for what he is actually seeing, when the lens shifts, when what was background becomes foreground, when the ordinary, extraordinary thing that you are stops being something he moves through and starts being something he genuinely encounters, perhaps for the first time, with the full attention that you have always deserved, and that he has not always had the clarity or the courage to bring. That moment is approaching for him, not as a distant possibility that may or may not materialize depending on circumstances neither of you can control, but as the inevitable result of a process that has already begun in him, a slow and deepening recognition that is accumulating beneath the surface of his daily life, with the patient pressure of something that knows exactly where it is going and is not in any hurry, because it understands that when it arrives, it will arrive completely. Jordan Peterson has said that the things of genuine value in a life do not announce themselves with obvious fanfare, that the truly rare things, the people, the connections, the qualities of character that constitute the actual treasure of a human existence, tend to present themselves quietly, tend to require a certain development of perception to be adequately seen, tend to be invisible to the man who has not yet done the work of becoming someone capable of recognizing what genuine rarity looks like when it is standing directly in front of him. He has been doing that work, slowly, incompletely, with the resistance that all genuine growth requires from the person it is asking something of. But the direction is unmistakable, and the direction is toward the kind of seeing that changes everything. Right, I am. Ready to be seen in the comments if you have been waiting for someone to finally look at you with the clarity that you deserve. Understanding what it means to be seen as rare requires first understanding what prevents that seeing, because the failure to perceive genuine value in another person is never simply a failure of information. The man who does not see you clearly is not missing facts about you that would correct his perception if only he had access to them. The failure is always a failure of the perceiver, a limitation in his own development, his own self-knowledge, his own capacity to be present with something real rather than with the projection of what he expects or needs or has been conditioned to look for. Peterson is direct about this, that we cannot perceive in others what we have not yet developed the capacity to recognize, that the man who has not confronted his own depths cannot see the depths of another person. That genuine encounter between two people requires both of them to bring a certain quality of honest self-knowledge to the meeting. He has been limited in this way, not maliciously, not through any fundamental failure of character, but through the ordinary limitations of a man who has not yet been required by his circumstances to fully develop the part of himself that is capable of genuine recognition. He has been operating with a perception of you that is adequate for the surface, that registers your presence, your attractiveness, your intelligence, the fact of your value in the general sense that these things are visible to most people who encounter you. But the deeper perception, the one that sees the specific and irreplaceable combination of qualities that constitutes the particular person that you are, the one that understands what it would actually mean to be without you, the one that produces the specific gravity of genuine love rather than the lighter and more common experience of comfortable attachment, that perception has been developing, and development in this domain cannot be rushed. It happens at the pace that life and loss and the accumulation of experience allow it to happen. It happens when a man has been present with something long enough that the habituation gives way to genuine seeing. It happens when absence has stripped away the comfort of taking something for granted and replaced it with the clarifying force of actually confronting what the something contains. It happens, sometimes, simply when a man has grown enough internally, through his own work, his own struggles, his own confrontation with what he is and what he is not yet, that his capacity for genuine perception has expanded to accommodate what was always there, waiting to be seen. He is arriving at that capacity. The arrival is what the deep love that is coming is built upon. There is a specific quality that constitutes genuine rarity in a person, and that is different from the surface qualities that attract immediate attention. Surface qualities are visible to everyone, and are therefore common in the sense that their recognition requires nothing particular from the perceiver. Beauty, wit, social ease, the kind of intelligence that performs well in conventional settings. These things are real and they matter, but they are not what produces the particular quality of being seen as rare. What produces that is something that operates at a deeper level, something that requires a more developed, perceiving to be adequately recognized. You carry that deeper quality. It lives in the specific combination of your honesty and your warmth, the rare fact that you are willing to tell the truth, and that the truth-telling is not cold or clinical, but comes wrapped in genuine care for the person receiving it. It lives in the quality of your attention, the way you are actually present with people when you are with them, actually receiving what they are saying and thinking about it and responding to what is real in it, rather than to the surface of what is being performed. It lives in the consistency between who you are when things are going well and who you are when things are difficult. The fact that difficulty does not produce in you the defensive contraction that it produces in most people, but rather a deepening, a more honest engagement with what is real, a willingness to stay present with what is hard rather than retreating to what is manageable. Peterson speaks about the integrity that constitutes genuine character, not the integrity of never making mistakes, but the integrity of alignment between inner and outer, between what a person actually is and how they present themselves, between what they say and what they do when what they say and what they do diverge in cost. That integrity is what you carry. It is not always the most immediately visible thing about you. It does not announce itself in the way that surface qualities do, but it is the thing that holds up under examination, that deepens rather than diminishes the more closely it is attended to, that produces in the person who has been paying genuine attention a slowly building sense that what they are dealing with is not ordinary, cannot be found everywhere, represents something that the ordinary commerce of human connection does not reliably provide. He has been paying attention, not always consciously, not always with the full deliberateness of someone who has decided to see you clearly, but the attention has been accumulating, and what it has been accumulating toward is the specific recognition that what you are is rare, that the combination of qualities that constitutes you does not reproduce itself with any frequency in the world he moves through, that the ease and the naturalness with which he has been taking that combination for granted is a function of its consistent presence in his vicinity and not a reflection of its actual availability in the broader landscape of human experience. The recognition is arriving in layers, and it is important to understand the sequence of those layers, because each one opens the door for the one that follows it, and together they constitute the path from ordinary perception to the specific quality of seeing that produces deep love. The first layer is the comparative recognition, the understanding that arrives through contrast, through the experience of being without you or of being with others who are not you, that makes visible by negative space what was invisible by positive presence. He has been in this layer. He has been accumulating the evidence of contrast, the interactions with other people that did not produce what your presence produced, the conversations that lacked the quality that your conversations had, the experiences of being seen or not seen that made increasingly clear what the experience of being genuinely seen by you actually consisted of and how different it was from the ordinary. The second layer is the specific recognition, the movement from the general understanding that something is missing to the particular understanding of what that something is and where it lives. This layer requires more honesty than the first because it demands that he name precisely what you bring rather than simply noting its absence. It requires him to sit with the specific qualities, the specific texture of your intelligence, the specific quality of your honesty, the specific way you are present in a room or a conversation or a difficult moment, and to acknowledge them with the kind of deliberate attention that constitutes genuine appreciation, rather than the passive reception of someone who is benefiting from something without fully registering what the benefit consists of. He has been moving into this layer, the thinking about you that has been happening in him, in the unguarded hours, in the moments between distractions, in the specific way certain experiences trigger the awareness of your absence because they are the kind of experiences that your presence would have made different. That thinking has been increasingly specific, has been arriving at the particular rather than remaining in the general, has been naming, even if only to himself and even if imperfectly, the exact qualities that constitute the thing he is starting to understand he is dealing with. The third layer is the rarest and the most significant. It is the recognition that arrives when a man has moved through the comparative and the specific and arrived at something that Peterson would identify as genuine acknowledgement, the honest admission made to himself first and then made available to you that what he has been encountering in you represents something that he did not know he was capable of receiving, that has been calling him toward a version of himself that is larger and more honest and more genuinely present than the version he has been operating from, and that the receiving of it fully would require him to become that version in a consistent rather than occasional way. This is where the deep love begins, not in the feeling, which may have been present in some form for longer than the recognition has been clear, but in the honest acknowledgement that what is before him is worth the becoming that receiving it fully requires. Peterson says that the meeting of two people at depth, genuine meeting, not the surface contact of two people performing their best versions for each other's benefit, but the actual encounter of two interior worlds, is among the most demanding and most transformative experiences available in a human life, that it requires both people to bring their honest selves rather than their curated selves, that it cannot happen while either person is operating primarily from their defenses rather than from their genuine interior, and that the person who has not done the work of genuine self-knowledge is simply not equipped for the depth of meeting that genuine love demands, will find it overwhelming, will retreat from it, will manage it into something less threatening and therefore less alive, will choose the comfortable shallowness of well-managed connection over the beautiful difficulty of genuine depth. He has been working toward the equipment, not in a straight line, not without retreats and the occasional reassertion of old patterns that felt safer than the new ones he was trying to develop, but working. The work is what makes what is coming possible. Because what is coming, the deep love that he is approaching the capacity for, is not simply a feeling that arrives unbidden and asks nothing of the person experiencing it. It is an orientation, a commitment, a decision made repeatedly in the ordinary moments of an ordinary life to bring the full honest self to the encounter, rather than the managed partial self that requires less courage and produces less life. He is approaching the moment when that decision becomes possible for him in the consistent way that deep love requires, and the path to that moment has been running directly through the developing recognition of what you are, the slowly clarifying understanding of your rarity that has been the most effective education available for the development of the capacity he needs. Because seeing you clearly, seeing the specific and irreplaceable combination of qualities that constitutes you, understanding what it would mean to be without access to those qualities, permanently grasping the rarity of what is available to him in your presence, that seeing is itself the teacher of what he needs to become in order to be worthy of what he is seeing. You do not diminish to meet him where he is. Your rarity calls him upward toward where he needs to be, and the call arriving through the developing recognition is producing the growth that genuine love requires from both participants. Get ready. This phrase in the title is not decorative, and it is not simply a gesture toward the excitement of an anticipated good thing. It is a practical instruction grounded in the understanding that receiving deep love, genuine, developed, clear-eyed love from a man who has done the work of truly seeing you is not a passive experience that happens to you while you remain unchanged. It is an encounter that requires something of you as well, a quality of readiness that is different from waiting, different from hoping, different from the suspended anticipation of. Someone who has been in the holding pattern of not quite having what they need for long enough that the holding pattern has started to feel like the destination. Readiness, in Peterson's framework, is never about the elimination of uncertainty or the resolution of all the fears that surround any genuine risk. Readiness is the willingness to be fully present with what arrives, to receive it with the honest self rather than the defended self, to allow it to actually affect you rather than managing your response to it from behind the glass of ironic protection, to bring to the encounter the same quality of genuine presence that you are hoping to receive from it. You have been developing that readiness through everything you have been through in the period that precedes this arrival, through the difficulty of not being fully seen and continuing to be fully yourself anyway, through the patience of waiting for genuine recognition without collapsing the standard of what genuine recognition requires in order to receive something that falls short of it more quickly, through the work of maintaining your own clarity about what you are and what you deserve in the face of circumstances that did not always confirm those things in the ways you needed. That maintenance, the refusing to become smaller, the refusing to adjust downward, the refusing to perform a diminished version of yourself in order to fit more comfortably inside the limited perception that was available, is itself the work of readiness. It is what has kept you genuinely available for what is approaching. It is what ensures that when he arrives at the full recognition of what you are, he will be arriving at the actual thing rather than at the performance of it that a less grounded person might have produced in the attempt to be what someone needed, rather than simply being what they are. Deep love, when it arrives, will not feel like the breathless urgency of early infatuation. It is important to understand this because the cultural vocabulary for love is so dominated by the imagery of the early stages, the intensity and the novelty and the heightened aliveness of the beginning, that the arrival of something more grounded and more durable can be mistaken for a lesser thing when it is in fact a greater one. Deep love feels different from infatuation in ways that are worth naming specifically, so that you can recognize it when it arrives, rather than looking past it for something that matches the familiar but insufficient template. Deep love feels like being known, not idealized, not held in the flattering light of someone who has projected their fantasy of you onto the screen of your actual presence, but known. The specific, slightly uncomfortable and entirely beautiful experience of being with someone who sees you accurately, who sees the full complexity of what you are, including the parts that are not seamlessly presentable, including the contradictions and the uncertainties and the specific ways in which you are still working things out, and who chooses you from within that accurate seeing rather than in spite of it or without awareness of it. Deep love feels like safety that does not diminish aliveness. This is perhaps the rarest quality and the one most worth waiting for. The specific combination of feeling genuinely safe in a connection and feeling genuinely alive within it. The discovery that the two things that often feel like they are in tension with each other are in fact, in the right connection, mutually reinforcing. Safety in the sense of not needing to manage what you reveal. Aliveness in the sense of being genuinely engaged rather than comfortably settled. The coexistence of these two qualities is the signature of deep love, as opposed to the various approximations that substitute for it when the real thing is not yet available. Peterson speaks about the mature relationship as one in which two people have chosen each other, with full knowledge of what they are choosing. Not the idealized version, not the best day version, but the full human reality of another person with all the difficulty and beauty that full humanity entails. That choosing, made from genuine knowledge rather than from projection or fantasy, is the foundation of something durable. It is what distinguishes the connection that holds under pressure from the connection that was only ever as strong as the conditions that made it easy. He is approaching the capacity for that choosing. The seeing that has been developing in him, the recognition of your rarity that has been accumulating through the experience of contrast and the work of specific acknowledgement, is the prerequisite for genuine choosing. He cannot choose you fully until he has seen you fully, and the seeing is arriving, which means the choosing is approaching, which means what is coming toward you is the real thing. There is something specific that will change in how he is with you when the recognition arrives completely. Not everything will change. The person he is will still be recognizably himself, will still carry the specific qualities and limitations and developing edges of the man you have known. But something in the quality of his presence with you will shift in a way that is felt before it is articulated, registered by your body before your mind has assembled the words for it. He will listen differently, the listening that comes from someone who has recognized that what you say carries weight, that your observations are not incidental, but are the product of a specific quality of mind and attention that he has come to understand is not common, that your honesty when you offer it is a gift being given at some cost, that the specific perspective you bring to any conversation is one he cannot generate for himself and cannot find reliably elsewhere. That listening has a different texture from ordinary listening. It is quieter, more genuinely receiving, less occupied with the formation of the next response and more occupied with the actual content of what is being offered. He will be present in a new way, the presence of someone who has chosen to be present, who has done the internal work of understanding why presence in this specific context matters and what it requires of him and what it produces in both of you when it is genuine. That presence has a quality that is different from the presence of someone who is simply in the same physical space and has not retreated into obvious distraction. It has weight. It has the specific quality of someone who is actually here, who has brought themselves to this encounter rather than sending a representative. He will bring his own truth more readily, because the recognition of genuine rarity in another person produces the understanding that dishonesty in the presence of that rarity is a specific kind of waste, that the person who is capable of genuine seeing deserves to be met with genuine showing, that the depth of your honesty calls for a corresponding depth in his, that the managed version of himself is not the version that is adequate to the fullness of what you are offering. This does not mean perfection. It does not mean the absence of the defensive impulses that are part of every human being's wiring. It means that the pull toward honesty is stronger than it was before, that the choice of truth over management is made more readily and more consistently, that the small daily choices between genuine presence and performed presence tend more reliably in the direction of the genuine. You deserve to receive this with your full self. Peterson's deepest insight about love is not romantic. It is almost demanding in its orientation, placing on each person the full weight of the responsibility to show up as honestly as possible to whatever genuine encounter life offers them. He would say that you owe it to the depth of what is coming to meet it from. Your depth, not from the part of you that is still managing, still performing, still protecting itself from the full vulnerability of being completely seen by someone who is finally capable of seeing you, but from the part that has always been available for this kind of encounter and has been waiting for someone developed enough to warrant it. That means receiving the love from the full knowledge of your own value, not from the anxious wondering about whether you are enough, not from the habitual undervaluing that past experiences of not being fully seen can produce, not from the performance of someone who is trying to be what she thinks he needs, rather than simply being what she is. It means trusting that what you actually are, the real combination of qualities that you bring, including the imperfect and the uncertain and the still developing, is not a liability to be managed, but the specific thing that his recognition is recognizing. It means allowing yourself to be known, rather than simply seen, allowing the depth of his perception to actually reach the depth of what you carry, rather than deflecting it with the comfortable surface presentation that protects you from the vulnerability of genuine encounter. This is the work on your side, not the work of becoming someone different or becoming more in order to warrant what is coming, but the work of being fully available to receive what is coming, of standing in the full reality of who you are without the defensive contraction that past difficulty may have produced, of trusting that genuine rarity is not something you have to perform, but something you simply have to stop hiding. The deep love that is approaching has been building from the beginning. It was present in seed form in the earliest experiences of what existed between you, in the first moments when something in him registered something in you that his perceptual apparatus was not yet fully equipped to process. It has been developing in the underground of his experience since, fed by every encounter that confirmed what the initial registering pointed toward, shaped by every moment when your specific qualities were on display and landed somewhere in him, even when the landing was not yet fully conscious. What is coming is not the beginning of something entirely new. It is the flowering of something that was always there, that has been developing in the conditions of genuine human encounter with the patient biological imperatives, of something that knows where it is going. The flower looks like the beginning because the flowering is new and visible in a way that the root growth was not. But the root growth was the real work, and the root growth is complete enough now that what it produces will be something that holds not the fragile thing of early stages that breaks under ordinary pressure, but the developed thing of genuine maturity that has already been tested in some ways by the conditions of its own becoming, and has proven that it has the structure for duration. Peterson says that What is worth having is worth waiting for, not as an exercise in patience, but as an acknowledgement that some things require time for their genuine development, and that the waiting that honors that requirement is itself part of what makes the arrival genuine rather than premature. The time you have been in has been developing something. In him, in you, in the specific quality of recognition that is required for the deep love that is coming to be built on something real rather than something that will require revision when reality arrives in its fullness. Reality has been arriving in both of you, through everything that has happened and everything that has been worked through, and everything that has been understood more clearly now than it was at the beginning, and what reality has been building toward, through all the difficulty and all the development and all the patient accumulation of genuine human experience, is this. The moment when he sees you as something rare, when the seeing is complete, and the recognition is honest and the love that follows is deep in the specific sense of being rooted in actual knowledge rather than in fantasy or projection or the comfortable story of what he hoped you would be. You are ready for this. You have been ready for longer than the circumstances have required you to wait, and the waiting is ending. What is coming is worth every moment of it. Get ready to be loved in the way that you have always deserved to be loved, completely, honestly, with full knowledge of what you are and full commitment to honoring what that knowledge requires. That is not a small thing. In a world that settles routinely for less, it is everything.